Good evening and welcome to the Catskill High School's Leadership Greene Meet the Candidates Night. Thank you for joining us for the Student-Led Forum. My name is Alexander Howland and I'm in 12th grade.
My name is Katie Cummings and I am in 10th grade.
The following candidates are on the ballot for our Catskill School Board seats: Charles Holtz, Paul Brown, Patti Dushane, Tracy Darling, and Junait Shah. We will begin with our one candidate providing a 2-minute introduction, and then we will begin our questions.
Hi, should I pull this up?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Paul Brown. I live in Catskill. I've lived in Catskill since 1987. I was on the school board previously in the mid-90s for 5 years. That's when the terms of the candidates were 5 years instead of 3. And it changed shortly after I left the board. I've had 6 children run through this school district. They've all had excellent experiences as students in the school district. We had a very education-oriented household. We had no TV for 25 years while they were going through school. I have a degree in computer science, and also I don't work in that field now, but I did for several years. I started several businesses. I had a payroll business at one point in time. I also had a internet business, and now I have a equipment rental business. So I have what you call career ADD. I don't know what I want to do, and I'm always looking for new things to try out. So I always try to think a little bit outside the box when it comes down to how do we get things accomplished. And one of the things that I've noticed over the years is how do we keep our kids, our students educated so that they can compete in the workplace. That's always been something that's been dear to my heart. I've had 3 valedictorians in our class, and I've learned probably more from them than they have from me. And what the secret was is to keep asking them questions. What do you do? How do you want to do it? And where do you want to be? Those are all interesting questions that can consume a lot of time, but my primary goal here tonight is to let you know that I have 2 things in mind for running for the board. One is the students themselves. I want the students to be able to learn in whatever way that they learn, and I want the taxpayers to be able to support what they do. Now that doesn't mean that's a free checkbook, but it does mean that we want to give the best education to our students that this community can afford. We want them to be able to succeed in the long run, and we want them to be able to learn, and we want them to be lifelong learners. And that's part of the process that I want to be involved in as a board member here tonight. So with that said, we can move on.
All right, the first question. When important decisions or issues happen in the district, how will you ensure that students and families are informed in a clear and timely way? And why do you think that kind of transparency matters to us as students?
Well, transparency and decision-making, some of it has to be done on different levels. So for example, if we are going to make important decisions about capital improvements, how much is it going to cost? How is it going to affect the student life? And is it going to improve the overall educational process? So that's one of the things that you want to consider as an important decision to make. The other thing is how is our educational process going to benefit the students? Are we using the best methodologies to teach our kids how to learn? Are all of the kids being educated in a way that they prefer to learn? For example, are they tactile learners? Are they visual learners? Are they audio learners? Are they reading and writing learners? What way do our students learn? And our decisions as a board have to support how our kids learn. And that's one of the things that I want to help evaluate, develop, and to move forward with as we move as a board together. And working as a board is an interesting process. I know the process. I've been through it. It's not always peaches and cream when you're on the school board. You have to make tough decisions, and sometimes you're making tough decisions that you don't agree with, but you have to go along with because it's a board. You have to convince other people, at least 5 people, that your idea is an idea that is best for the students and best for the taxpayers.
The next question is, what are your thoughts on student cell phone use during the school day, and how do you feel about the district's decision to purchase yonder pouches? Should they be implemented, and if so, how can we make that work for students?
Absolutely, they should be, the phones should not be allowed in the classroom. If you want to use them during lunchtime or study halls, if that's permitted by the school, that's fine. In the classroom, absolutely not. It's a distraction. We've had the same type of distractions when computers first came into school districts. They were new, they were technology, people were coming into them. But I think what happens when you allow phones into the classroom is it becomes a distraction to the teaching and it becomes a distraction to the learning. Because you're always trying to look at the text messages that are being posted. And they might be important, but they're not important enough to keep the flow of the lesson from progressing. And that's why I think that the telephones should be removed from the school, from the classroom. And it's an issue, and it's a problem. And it's not only an issue and a problem in the school, it's an issue and a problem when you're off school. Because you can do and say things online that have a direct impact on your educational process in school. So that's one of the things that I think we need as a school board to be able to teach our kids the importance of being able to post online, especially when it's related to schools, and how it affects your school and education if you do the wrong thing online, even when you're outside of school. So education about cell phone use, education about when to use it, how to use it, what's good etiquette about cell phone use, all of these things play into the educational process. And I say that as students, you don't need the distractions. You can get to your distractions and your time in on the phone during lunchtime or whatever, if that's permitted. I don't know what the policy is at Catskill, but that's how I would structure it.
How would you prioritize the district's finances to improve both academic opportunities and extracurricular programs for students?
Well, that's always a tricky question, because if the voters say that the budget is too high and you go to a contingency budget, the problem is the first thing that gets cut out of the budget are the things that aren't mandatory by the state, mandated by the state. For example, if your budget is not passed, you lose the ability to participate, or the school has to cut programs that are not mandatory, such as sports or other programs that contribute to the educational process. So that's the reason why you have to put together a budget that's reasonable, that the taxpayers can afford, and something that the students can benefit from without breaking the bank to the taxpayers. And that means, going back to my other statement, is we have to provide an education that we can afford as a community. So with that in mind, I would say making those decisions is always hard. Now, things come up where our priorities have to change. What happens when a boiler goes bad in the school and you have to fix a boiler? That could be $100,000, which is an unanticipated expense. So we have to look at what it means to be able to make reasonable decisions about our budget, but at the same time making room for contingencies that we hadn't anticipated. So that all plays into the educational process.
What ideas do you have for making Catskill a district where teachers want to come, stay, and build long-term careers? And how can the board support a positive environment for educators?
There's educators are in an interesting position, because I was just speaking with some people about this recently. One of the problems is we want good teachers, but we also want good students. And sometimes we have bad teachers and sometimes we have bad students. So we have to be able to balance out the good and the bad, we can't be prejudicial towards students or teachers, but we have to be able to have a method by which bad teachers can improve and that bad students can improve, and we have to be tender-hearted in those areas, but at the same time we have to be able to have a standard that has to be upheld so that they can improve, and what happens when they don't improve. And that's one of the hard problems to do. But my goal would be to, first of all, let's look at where we are as a school district. Where do we rank right now? What do we have to show for the education that we're producing? Are we producing students that are achieving above and beyond? Do we have students that know how to innovate, how to change plans? Are we teaching kids and students what happens in adverse times that you don't expect? Like maybe you have something that's going on in your school district that you don't like. Maybe somebody disappoints you in the school district. How do you deal with that? Those are all questions that we have to address, and we have to address them not in a robotic way, but in a real way that helps the school district to grow, but at the same time keeping us from going too far. I don't want to use the word left or right, but I will. Going too far left or too far right, not in a political sense, but where's the center of our educational process, and how are we going to stay in that center as we move forward?
All right, and the final question. Do you think it's important to keep our community informed through student media like Paw Talk, Middle School Minute, and Catskill News? And how would you support their continued growth and relevance?
I think it's very important that the school district stays in touch with the community, because how can the school district make informed decisions about what the community wants unless they're talking to them? And that means providing for them. I saw the budget sheet come out. It was interesting. It has a lot of numbers on it. I read through the numbers. I understand the numbers. But what doesn't that budget document have? It doesn't have where are we as a school district. Are our students behind? Are our students ahead? Are our students average? Are our teachers above, beyond, average or behind? And where do we fit in as a school district compared to other schools in Greene County, other schools in New York State, other schools in the country, and other schools around the world? Where are we in the educational process? And unless you know where we are, you don't know how to improve. And that's one of the things that I'd like to see a little bit more of, and to inform the community on where we are and what we're going to do and how we're going to improve the educational process. And sometimes that means making cuts, sometimes it makes making more expenditures. But we have to have a plan on how to do it. And that's one of the things that I want to bring to the board. We don't have enough, I don't feel we have enough information going out into the community. I don't think it's a slight, I don't think anybody's trying not to do that, but I think there has to be a better idea. The community has to have a better idea of what's going on in the school so that we know that our kids are getting the best education we can afford. And that's not always an easy task. Administrators have a lot of work that they have to do. Teachers have a lot of work they have to do. But somebody's got to put forth a plan, a written plan in some way, shape, or form, either video or through documents that are sent out through the mail that show exactly where we are, what we're doing, and how we're going to achieve our goals as a community. We want our kids to succeed. That's the whole purpose of what we're doing here. We want success. And we want to be able to build success in every way possible for every type of learner and for every type of teacher. And we can't do that unless we know where we are on a metric that we can evaluate. And that's one of the things that I would like to improve as a board member, is try to get the board together. Let us see what we can do, how we can go forward and make the school district more, not just more accountable. I don't want to make it sound like that the school district has to be more accountable, but that the school district can intelligently show where we are and how we can improve. But there is a level of accountability that has to go along with it. Everybody's got to be accountable to somebody at some point in time, either to teachers, students to teachers, students to administrators. That's all part of the process. But at the same time, we have to be able to go forward. And sometimes we have to put away our personal feelings for the good of the students and for the good of the school district. And that's one of the things that I'd like to accomplish as well, so that the community knows where we are. I don't think anybody really does know. And I would like to increase awareness around the community about how the school district is really doing. Because I think there's great programs like the ones that we're witnessing right now, you guys in the media area. How many people know about this? A select few. I think more people should know about it, because that's an avenue and a way in which we can, as a school district, communicate more, not just once a week, maybe once a day, about how we can improve our school, what our school is doing to improve, and how the improvement has affected the school district as a whole.
All right. At this time, Mr. Bryan, if you have any closing remarks, would you please share those with us?
Sure. I'm an optimist. I always like to look at the glasses, not half full, but 3/4 full. And what I want to do is I want to foster in the students an optimism that they can use throughout their entire life for the purpose of learning. We don't stop being students when we graduate from high school. We don't stop being students when we graduate from college. We don't stop being students when we retire. We never stop being students. And the point is that we need to be lifelong learners. And we need to foster that idea in our students, in our teachers, and in everybody that comes into the educational process. And we want to give students positive experiences in their learning life, and we want them to succeed and move forward, knowing that they can learn new things. How many people are stuck in jobs that they don't like? Well, if you don't like a job, learn a new skill. That means you have to go forward and get out of your comfort zone, and you have to learn something that you like to do. And what's the old saying? If you work in a job that you love to do, you never work a day in your life. That's what we want every student to feel. We want them to feel that when they go to work, they're not working. They're achieving their goals, and they're raising up their levels of production to better not just themselves, but all of society. And I think that's an important aspect that we have to bring forward as educators, as Board of Education members, as teachers, and as students.
Thank you for participating in the Catskill High School Leadership Greene meet and the Catskill School Board candidates. This concludes our event. It will on our Catskill Media YouTube page. Please like and subscribe so you can keep current about Catskill through our weekly news broadcast, as well as view all of our live events. Have a pleasant evening.